Okay, this is the news that a lot of us have been waiting for. Not news per se, this is just a rumor, but a good rumor, a rumor that I've heard now from 3 separate sources. I believe that it is Disney's plan on the night of June 14th, they are going to completely remove all social distancing markers, all the plexiglass and everything from within the park, and they are going to open things wide up on June 15th. No social distancing in attractions, in the queues or on the rides. No social distancing in the queues or lines for dining locations. No social distancing. And they're going to open up those queues inside and out. We're talking about the interior queue for Indiana Jones, dark rides, and hopefully Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, hopefully. And I'll pause here for everybody to take a minute to reflect. Because if this rumor is true, this is a major step forward into getting back to what we're trying to define as something normal, a Disney that we used to remember. And I'll say this, with regard to the veracity of this rumor, there have been a lot of things. It sounds good to me because there have been a lot of things happening in the last few days that have been telling me, that have been pointing me in the direction of Disney opening things up, of them removing the social distance requirements. You got the low capacity rides that have been coming back online. We've heard yesterday the news about Storybook Land and Golden Zephyr and the Davy Crockett canoes. All of these attractions are very low capacity attractions that they would probably prefer to keep closed because they don't justify, there's not enough people to put in there. What does a socially distanced canoe ride look like is what I want to know. So the fact that they're bringing those back, the canoes especially, the Golden Zephyr, the fact that we're bringing those back suggests to me that social distance is not a problem anymore. Then you have the rumor last night that we were talking about on the live stream about the Toy Story lot being reopened again. The rumor there is that it's going to open as soon as June 18th, as early as next week, next Friday, as soon as then. And if you're going to do that, if you're opening up the Toy Story lot, that means that you have no use for the bus drop-off area out in front of Disneyland. And right now, we know they have a use for the bus drop-off area, and that is to store all those guests who are waiting to get into the park to go through health screening and bag check to go to Avengers Campus or Disneyland. The queues out there have been forming, as early as 4 in the morning. So if they're planning on bringing the buses back, that means they're not expecting there to be guests in the drop-off area. That's a pretty big indicator if you ask me. Now, we don't know exactly when the bus will be back, if it is June 18th or something. I heard it's at the latest July. So no matter what, we're looking good there. So when you think about those guests out in front of the, on the harbor entrance, all those guests that were out there, where are they going to go? Well, they're going to go in. They're going in. There's no health screen. We already know that was not going to be a thing on June 15th. No health screen. Bag check is going to be now recall, Toy Story bag check happens at the Toy Story lot, and then they have a separate entrance to the left of the bag check area for all the walk-ins from harbor. All those guests are just going to go straight in. Now they're going to accumulate in the Esplanade, but it's not what it was, it's what it used to be. It's what we remember. That's the way we remember going in. And saying all this out loud just now, it almost sounds like it's too good to be true. It makes me kind of nervous when you think about it. Like, is this really going to happen? But I mean, like I said, there's a lot of indicators. A lot of things are pointing in this direction. I really do feel like June 15th, it's going to happen. And this coming from a guy who's been saying for weeks that it wasn't going to happen because I thought that Disney was going to take a slow and measured approach. This does not feel like they're going slow and measured. Perhaps they've learned something from the Walt Disney World opening because they took it slow and measured. So who knows? But I've been saying for a long time that Walt Disney World and Disneyland had been closing in. For a while, Walt Disney World was way ahead of us. They were 6 months ahead of us in terms of all the things they were doing. As a matter of fact, just today, as I record this, just today news broke that they're not going to require masks at Walt Disney World. They will still be requiring masks at Disneyland. We're going to get to that in a minute. Now, there are a few unknowns as we try to process this rumor. First of all, does this mean the return of pre-shows? Rise of the Resistance pre-show with Rey and BB-8, the Smuggler's Run pre-show, Mission Breakout with Rocket, the Indiana Jones film room. Are those going to come back? Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, I do think those pre-shows will be back, and mainly because it's just logical. It just makes sense. If social distancing is being removed from the equation, then it's not going to be, that's the reason why we stopped doing the pre-shows, was because of social distancing. We're going to get to that relationship a little bit in a second as well. But it makes logical sense. If you're not going to do social distancing, then you can do pre-shows, all of those. Okay, next, does this mean increased capacity in the parks, increased capacity on the attractions, increased capacity in dining locations, more tables. And I think, again, the logical answer to all three of those questions is yes. Yes, because social distancing was what drove the capacity limits down. That's what kept them low. Capacity limits were just an equation, a calculation, a mathematical calculation. How many people can you fit in a given space if they're all 6 feet apart? And whatever that was, 25 or 30% capacity, that's 6 feet apart. Park capacity was limited because of social distancing. Ride capacities were limited because of social distancing. Table service and dining locations were limited because of social distancing. Take out social distancing and you can increase capacities across the board. Even if you reduce social distancing from, let's say, 6 feet to 3 feet, by doing that, you've effectively doubled your capacity. Take it out completely, take out all social distancing, well, I mean, you can do the math on that. There is no limit on capacity at that point. And I do think that Disney's going to go for it. I think they're going for it. The only question is, how far are they going to go for it? One of the other unknowns when we talk about how far is entertainment, fireworks, parades, World of Color, Fantasmic. Unfortunately, no news on this. They haven't said anything anyway, but I haven't heard anything on this other than the stuff we talked about last week with regard to the fireworks. So I'm not expecting their imminent return. I'm not expecting them to just suddenly start doing those things on June 15th. That is one of the things that I think might be slow in measure, but only because they're still working on getting the cast back. They've only just begun rehearsing again for the Disneyland band, fireworks, things like that. All that stuff takes time to get ramped up, back up to speed again. I do though think it's a safe bet that it won't be long, but by not long I mean a couple months maybe. Disneyland tram. A lot of people ask about they ask about the Disneyland tram every day. Again, no news on that, but I've been saying that the tram won't come back until full capacity comes back. So if we are getting full capacity or something like that on June 15th, in other words, it wouldn't surprise me if the trams did suddenly start running on June 15th, but it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't. But just like the other things, it's only a matter of time. We're talking weeks on that, not very long, I don't think at all. What about masks? Well, yes, masks will be here. You still have to wear masks in the park. Disney's already come out front. They said this 2 weeks ago, that on June 15th, you'll still have to wear masks. But like the other things, I think that's just a question of time. The news broke earlier that Walt Disney World is no longer going to require masks in the parks. I think there are a few exceptions, but pretty much you don't have to wear masks. And I don't think it'll be long before Disney follows. They're closing the gap between the two. It's becoming a one world situation when it comes to COVID response these days. I guess, I don't know if California was the last of us, but here we are. We've caught up. Annual passes, $1 million question. This news that I'm presenting today is very good news for the annual pass system, or whatever it is that they come up with, because the reason why they took it out again was because of park capacity limits. You take out the park capacity limits, you can bring back an annual pass program or something like it. No news though from Disney on this, obviously. The only news that we've heard from them is that Potrock said that it was going to be by the end of the year, the Disneyland president. I've been predicting for a couple weeks now, I feel like it's going to be maybe the end of summer. That's my prediction. I have no reason to, I have nothing to base that on other than a gut feeling. I just feel like they're done with it. They're done with it, and they want to get things back and going. And that includes annual passes. I don't think they're going to wait till the end of the year for that. And that's it. I think that covers all the main talking points for this breaking rumor or whatever. I've been sitting on this. Actually, it's a funny story. I've been sitting on this for a little bit now. And in the meantime, I have been refreshing the Disneyland reservation site for a June 15th ticket. I got one today, just in time. So we're going to be there on June 15th, Fresh Baked. We're going to be there to cover this, to find out if it happens for real. Hopefully they're going to tell us for sure before then. But if they don't, we'll have cameras on the ground just in case. It took me, I think I refreshed that window for a solid 24 hours. I slept, and while I was awake, I was refreshing that window, and it finally, they were popping up 14th and the 16th. Anyway, I got myself a June 15th reservation, so if you can't make it, but you want to see what's happening, stand by. We're probably going to do a live stream. And assuming we'll do a live stream if the stuff is down. We may not do a live stream if it's still up, but we'll have a report from the park either way. And then we're back again on the 18th. Boy, I'm going to Disneyland a lot. That's fun. So there you go, guys. If you have any questions, hopefully I covered everything, but if you have any questions, anything specific that I didn't cover in this, let us know in the comments below, and I'll try to answer as many of those as I can for you. Otherwise, follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, and Twitter at freshbakedizzy, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at freshbakedizzy. Until then, until June 15th, we'll see you there. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Be safe, be kind to one another, and fresh baked.